it seems like it's turning into an absolute war between LeBron James and Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith gets his $20 million, and now LeBron James, or LeBum, is starting to drop the hammer on him throughout social media and now on the Pat McAfee Show. Why not go on Pat McAfee Show? You want to make fun of somebody? You want to look like a crazy lunatic? You go on Pat McAfee. Hey, why don't we ask Aaron Rodgers how he likes to do that? I mean, honestly, for the fact that Stephen A. Smith came out and said that if Stephen A. Smith gave him any reason to swing at him, he would have, just tells me one thing. You're out of your friggin' mind. You're out of your friggin' mind. You swing at LeBron James, you're going to be flat on your ass, okay? First of all, he's 6'8". He has not 1 cent, that's not even the right word, 1 inch of fat on his body. And this is a man that squats 500 pounds, okay? What the hell are you going to do to LeBron James? He can flick you. You're like a little snot to him, Steven. You lost weight. You're like a little crinkle in his ass, okay? I honestly think Stephen A. Smith needs to shut his mouth. I'm not a big fan of LeBron James as a personality. I am a fan of his game. I think he's one of the greatest basketball players I have ever seen. He's not Michael Jordan, and him and his family need to stop it. And he needs to stop it. He is never going to be Michael Jordan. But this story with him and Stephen A. Smith just ended already. Stephen, just end this before it gets worse for you. I'm surprised ESPN didn't go to him and say, guy, just stop. Stop. Because he's going on a Pat McAfee, LeBron's going on a Pat McAfee show, which, who owns? The ESPN team owns that. And then, what is he on? Stephen A. Smith First Take. Who owns that? ESPN. The ESPN likes this, but might not like this because Stephen A. Smith is the highest paid personality right now on their network now. He is the highest paid personality on their network, making $20 million. Over 100 people were fired because of Stephen A. Smith's contract. 100 people. All right? That's what it takes to pay a guy like Stephen A. Smith. Here's the problem with Stephen A. Smith. And I respect what Stephen A. Smith has done in his career, but he doesn't know what he's talking about. He knows basketball. You want to say that you know basketball? I'll give you credit when credit is due. You know your basketball game. But you don't know anything about hockey when the NHL playoffs are around. You know nothing about baseball. When you bring up Ohtani and stuff, and I'm not an Ohtani fan, but when he was throwing Ohtani under the bus, I don't know. The things that he was saying made no sense. And then when he goes to football and he talks about this guy and that guy and Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, I take this guy and I take that guy. He's the greatest wide receiver I've ever seen. If you think he's the greatest wide receiver, and I'm talking about Jamar Chase, is the greatest wide receiver you ever seen, then you're not watching football enough. I'm honest to God think Stephen A. Smith is a complete moron, okay? He knows how to make money. He's a great businessman. Whoever's helping him, and I know somebody that's helping him when it comes to the business end, but when it comes to the sports end and his interaction when it comes to opening his mouth and saying the wrong thing, Stephen A. Smith needs to zipper his mouth. I should call Beetlejuice. If I say Beetlejuice, 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 maybe Beetlejuice will put a zipper on his mouth or maybe put a piece of metal on his mouth because the guy doesn't shut the F up. It is so ridiculous. And LeBron James is sitting there because he's a father. Any father would stick up for their son. I know Joba's a father. If somebody says something about Carter, what is Joba going to do? Even if maybe they're right. He's going to stick up for his son. He's a dad. So you're going to go out there publicly on your show and throw this guy under the bus. Throw Bronny under the bus. And Bronny's gone through so many things. He almost died on a basketball court. And then he makes it to the NBA. His father's trying to help him build a career. And then you're doing all this and you're saying all these things about this kid. We all know the kid sucks. And LeBron knows his son sucks. Why do you need to come out every single show and throw this kid under the bus? We've heard enough of it. It's like talking about Steph Curry, that he's the greatest three-point shooter of all time. We all know he is. I don't want to hear it anymore, okay? I don't want to hear it anymore. And I sit here over and over and over again listening to all these Stephen A. Smith stories over and over and over and over again. Here's the thing, and I'm going to go back to this, and I want to hear you guys take. Stephen A. Smith is a smart man. He's smart. Did he plan this? Is this what he's trying to do to draw more people to watch his show? Because maybe the show is falling off because of Pat McAfee? Is that what it is? I don't know what it is, but I was very surprised the ESPN team or ESPN gave him $20 million. He signed a 5-year, $20 million contract, which is the highest in sports history to get that kind of contract as a radio/TV host. It is to me, I'm not taking shots at a man that's trying to make his money. I'm taking shots at a guy that's thrown people under the bus, beat up people, let people get fired for all these different, personalities that have been on shows and had opportunities to, build their career and grow in their career in ESPN. And they were tossed away because they needed to pay Stephen A. Smith. And Stephen already pretty much said, I don't know if anybody knows this. I seen Stephen A. Smith at an event. I'm not going to mention what event I saw him at. And I saw him, not hosting, but being interviewed. And he said, listen, it's either ESPN or somebody else. I could get the Tonight Show. There are many people. I have many opportunities out there. I'm as good as it gets. I'm as good as the best in the business of what I do. Well, guess what? Now ESPN has to suffer with him for 5 years. And before LeBron James, waves goodbye to the NBA, he might even permanently put him in the ground and bury him for a very, very long time. Because right now, Stephen A. Smith looks like the bad guy. And who looks like the good guy? Looks like the roses right now? LeBron James.